Hey everybody, it's Zach again at new2torah.com. I'm going to make a video tonight, and this basically a video is addressed to David, but I'm making the video so everybody can see, and I've got a couple questions over the last couple of days about what I believe. And anyway, David has been posting, me and David have been posting back and forth on the comments of my blog for the last 2 months or so. And normally his posts are a lot longer than my responses are, basically because I don't have the time to go in and spend the time necessary to answer all of your questions in detail. And so, because there's a lot of questions. Anyway, today, a few weeks ago, or a week ago, I posted a blog post called A Sunday Church Service. You can look it up. It's out there. Just search for Sunday Church Service on my website in the search box. And David left a comment on that blog post. And it's a long comment, a very long comment that asked a whole number of questions. And literally, David, if I actually went through and answered every single thing in this post, I would be here for a week giving you all the details on the answers. So I'm going to do like a shotgun pattern. I'm going to kind of shoot out and address a number of topics that you've put on the comment section. And I'll post the link to this video below your comment, and we'll go from there. If you really want to know more, that's fine, but we'll just see how it goes. But anyway, I'm hoping this will address a number of questions that maybe some others will have as well. Okay, so in your post, and this is on a Sunday Church Service blog post, and I'll include the link at the bottom of this video. Just look at the description of this video, and you'll see the link. Okay, so of course, here's what David says. Of course, you'd have to say I was misinterpreting Acts 15. Thanks for the link to the video. Yeah, I do believe you're misinterpreting Acts 15. I don't agree at all that you think that there are two different obvious types of believers here, just like the video says in Acts 15 on the page. I also have another video for you, not David, not knowing what he's talking about. He's talking about a video that I have posted on my website, Acts 15, Legalism or Obedience, and it's from the 119 Ministry guys. And I posted this on my site, and so this came up in one of our other discussions, and so I said, hey, check out this video. You need to understand this video before we go any further. And I don't think he agrees with me, and that's fine. We can disagree, but that's really how I interpret Acts 15. I think it's a very good interpretation. And one of the things you asked about here, why wouldn't they include that exhortation in the decree, i.e. to seek out a synagogue for the preachings of Moses in order to follow the law? Well, they did. That was the whole point of Acts 15, verse 21. They did. They were telling people, hey, listen, the big things they need to worry about now are the drinking of blood, the temple prostitution, the strangling of animals. Let's get those 4 things really taken care of first, and then they're going to be in the Shabbat. They're going to be at the synagogue, hearing Moses every Shabbat. They'll learn the rest as they go. And that's the point the video made as well. I mean, for someone who's an alcoholic, what's the first thing you address to an alcoholic who's coming to church? Get out of the bar first for a while. You get out of the bar, you stop drinking, let's work on your drinking problem. Yeah, you've done a whole bunch of other things. You have, everyone has a whole list of problems. Everyone has a whole list of sins, of ways that they fall. But what you do is you address the issues first that they have to deal with now. And someone who's an alcoholic, the first thing you address is their alcoholic, the abuse of drinking. And so the drunkenness. So that's the first thing you deal with. That's the same thing in Acts 15. It's this exact same thing. Stop the temple prostitution, stop the strangling of animals, the worshiping of idols, the 4 things it mentions there, the drinking of the blood. Stop that and go to church. You're going to learn the rest of Moses on the Shabbat. That's what they're saying. I don't see why you see that any other way than that, but whatever. Let's look at some of this other stuff you wrote here. Since we have heard Torah following believers in Yeshua are one of numerous groups. That's probably true, but that's not who was coming. Back to the subject of Yeshua. Okay, all right, get this one. All right, you listed back to the subject of Yeshua and Torah. How do you reconcile the following commands of the Torah with Yeshua's actions, insights, and commands? This is a great one. The first one you put on the list. And I don't have time to address all these, but we'll just pick number 1 since you put them on the list. Obey the Sanhedrin's authority, Deuteronomy 17 through 11, and compare that with Matthew 23, 13 through 36. What you're assuming is that Matthew 23, 13 through 36 says, do not listen to the Sanhedrin, do not listen to the Pharisees. And you're right. It's saying do not do what they do. It's saying do not listen to them because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But look at this. I actually have this open right here because I was looking at this earlier. Matthew 23, saying this, in the second verse, saying this, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. We'll get back to that in a second. Verse 3, all therefore, whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do not do after their works, for they say, and do not do. So what's he saying? He's saying when they sit in Moses' seat, whatever they tell you to do, you need to do it. What? Wait a minute, that's not right. It's saying that right there, second verse, or third verse. Whatever they tell you to do, you need to do it. Why? Why is Yeshua, why is Jesus saying to do whatever the Pharisees tell you to do? It's because when you sit in Moses' seat, you see, when you sit in Moses' seat, and I learned this from Jim Staley, when you sit in Moses' seat, at that time, they cannot say anything else. They're only allowed to read from the Torah. When they sit their butt in that seat, the only thing out of their mouth can come from is the words of Moses, the Torah, the law. Now, when they get out of that seat, they can do commentary, they can give their opinions, they can argue back and forth. You know, that's different. But when they're in that seat, the only words that can come out of their mouth, no commentary, no opinions, the only thing they can say is the Torah. The only thing that they can utter out of their mouths is Torah. And so what Yeshua is saying, when they're in that seat, do whatever they tell you to do. Do everything they tell you to do. Does that make sense? But don't do what they do because they're hypocrites. And the whole chapter of Matthew 23 is talking about how hypocritical these people are because they sit in Moses' seat, they read the law, but they're not doing it. They're doing the exact opposite. I hope that makes sense. That's the whole point of Matthew 23, 13 to 36. You just wrote that down. Matthew 23, 13 to 36. I see it right there. And you're saying, well, here Jesus is saying they're hypocrites. Don't do what they do. You know, and you're comparing that with Deuteronomy 17:11. No. He's saying do exactly what they tell you to do, but don't do what they do. When they're telling you what to do, they're sitting in that seat. But when they're out of that seat, they're doing something completely different. They're being hypocrites. All right. I beat that like a dead horse. Divorce written by contract, Deuteronomy 20. What is that? I tell you what. You want to understand your second one, divorce written by contract, Deuteronomy 24? Go watch Identity Crisis. It's on every page of my website. Right there on the right-hand side, near the top, Identity Crisis. That'll explain divorce. It links directly with Romans chapter 7. Deuteronomy 24 and Romans 7. Right there. And it says right there in Romans 7, the first verse in Romans 7, if you don't know the law, you're not about to understand what Paul's about to tell you. Why? Because he's about to quote the law of divorce. Just go watch Identity Crisis. There's a reason why it's on every page of my website. Trial of jealousy, drinking, good grief, beat the wicked, eye for an eye. All right, there's some other things I wanted to address down here. More personally, how do you strive to follow? All right, how do I strive to follow all the precepts and commands in Torah? There are hundreds. Well, there's about 613, give or take. But the Torah doesn't tell us how many commands there are. That's man counting up those commandments. So I'm not going to tell you there are this many or that many. But just give or take, add some or lose some. There, as a man, there are about 200 Torah laws that apply to me. Now, compare that to the laws we have in this country. Any given time, I'm under the laws, all of the laws of this country. And there are about over 4 million laws in these United States. So if I live in New Jersey, I'm under the authority of the laws of New Jersey. If I, fly to California and I land there, now I'm under the authority of the laws of California, as well as all the laws of the United States. So basically, I'm under all of the laws of the United States, and there's over 4 million. if we give or take, add some, lose some, we're about in the range of 613 commandments, they tell us. I don't know for sure. But, what's easier? What do you think is easier? 613 commandments and 200 really that apply to me as a male, as a human male, versus 4 million laws in the United States? What do you think is easier to keep? Of course, the book of John tells us, 1 John tells us the laws are not burdensome. His law is not burdensome. So that's how I reconcile that. Where are the instructions from Yeshua about which offerings are no longer necessary? What do you mean? They're all necessary. Yeah, we don't have a temple right now. We can't do sacrifices. Some of the Torah only applies to a high priest. We don't have a high priest right now. Physically, we have a high priest in Yeshua. We don't have a temple right now. I don't have to... there's no red heifer. There's all kinds of things that don't apply today. It's not because they're done away with, but simply because we don't have the ability to do them. After 70 AD, the southern kingdom, Judea, was put under captivity and cast into the nations, just like the northern kingdom was. Right now, all of Israel, all 12 tribes were cast into the four corners of the earth. In the last days, it tells us over and over again in the prophets, and Jeremiah especially, that there's going to be a time when they get called back. And Judah will be called back first. And that's what has happened. Judah is now, the southern kingdom has been called back. It says they will come home first, and then the northern kingdom will come home. So there will be a time soon when the northern kingdom, I believe that time is getting close because the northern kingdom is waking up, and that's what New to Torah is all about. And Identity Crisis, that movie, the northern kingdom is waking up, and we're going to figure out a time, okay, it's time to come back home. And God's going to make that happen. Let's see, let me get this. In the place of the Lord Jesus. So, are many commands of the Torah in limbo until a temple is rebuilt? Yes. Some of them are. I wouldn't call them in limbo. But, Yeshua right now is acting as our high priest in heaven, and he is carrying out those commands up there. We know that's a fact. What's the first thing Yeshua says to Mary when he sees her? Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I have not yet ascended to the Father. Why? Because he's the first fruits. He's the wave offering that has to be presented to the Father. And so, these things are happening right now up in heaven. I believe he is acting as our high priest, just like the Bible says, and he's carrying those out. And he's carrying out the laws of clothing and stuff like that up there, atonements and sacrifices. Prayers, and one day when this kingdom is again established on earth, those again will be reinstituted. That has never been gone away. It's never been done away with. We don't see that anywhere in Scripture. Eating, drinking, I don't eat pork, I don't eat shellfish. Mark 7 verse 19 is not in any ancient manuscript. It does not exist. Someone do me a favor and go research. Maybe I'm going to make a separate video on this. Someone find me where Mark 7 verse 19 got added in, because it's not in any ancient manuscript. The verse is there, but the part in parentheses, and in saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean. That's not in any manuscript. It's not in any Greek manuscript. It's not in the Westcott and Hort, the Latin Vulgate, the Sinaiticus, the Vaticanus. It's not in any of these things. I can only find it in translations copyrighted in the last 100 years. So someone find out what was the first one. Are they changed? Are they still relevant? Are we waiting for more instructions? Have more instructions been given? No. We have all the instructions. The instructions, even back then, were Torah. That was it right here. This was all the instructions right there. You are too quick to assume. Okay, I got you on that one. I'm sorry if I assumed you're some kind of pagan, but I understand maybe you're just trying to understand some of this. You seem to think that on the one hand, no one can be perfect, but on the other, we're to keep Torah as perfectly as he kept it. No, he kept Torah perfectly as an example to us. That's how it works. He kept it to be, in a perfect manner in order to show us how it was to be kept. Does that say we can keep it perfectly? No, nobody's saying that. Are we all going to fail? Absolutely. And so you can't say, I'm not saying at all that, we all have to be perfect. We all have to be sinless. I'm not saying that at all. So don't get me wrong on that. I need a Savior. My only hope in life is in Messiah Yeshua, because I'm not going to make it on my own. I'm not going to make it by keeping Torah. I'm not going to make it by helping old ladies across the street. I'm not going to help it by the worldly perspective of what is a good person. I'm not going to make it. My only hope is in Him, and so I'm relying on that fact. I'm relying on that fact that one day I'm going to stand before the judgment seat, and I'm going to have Him by my side, and He's going to be the one to say, "Hey, this one's paid for." That's how that's my hope, because that's the only hope I can have, and we have to do that. That's part of salvation, is putting my full faith and trust in Him. So, let's see, what is the other thing you wrote? How do you follow? I don't see how anyone can possibly keep the Torah perfectly, given that it isn't a temple, that there isn't a temple, and some of the commands couldn't possibly be carried out today. Kill, plunder, destroy every living thing. Oh, I could spend a day on this one. Okay, yeah, you can't keep it perfectly. There is no temple. So, and I'm not saying you should keep it perfectly. What I'm saying is, because I'm saved, because I have a new heart, and my heart should strive to follow what the Father has told us to do. Hear and obey. I hear Him, and I have that new heart inside me, and so I'm going to find out what my Father wants for my life, and I'm going to obey it. This whole fallacy of, you can eat pork, you can do whatever you want to do now. That's crazy. That's not that was never changed. In all of the verses that people give, Acts 10, Mark 7:19, all these verses, 2 Timothy, none of those, all of those are misinterpreted. They're all misinterpreted. It's only a handful of them, by the way, but they're all misinterpreted. And if Jesus, Yeshua, came to do away with the dietary laws, why is it in Acts 10 or 12 years later, is Peter saying, "By no means, Lord, I have never eaten anything unclean"? Did he not get the memo? You seem to really be striving to follow Torah. Well, I'm striving to understand how you propose to do it. I am doing it. I'm not doing it perfectly. I'm not perfect. But every day I get up, I put on my tzitzit, and I try to spend some time in the Word. I keep the Shabbat. We keep the feast days. We're getting ready for Passover coming up soon. We're looking forward to that. And I do my best to keep the instructions, that God has given us. These are His instructions. It's not a law. It is law, but it's instructions. Just saying, hey, listen, this is how you should live your life. And so that's how I'm doing it. He said He came to fulfill the law. How long does that? Has it already been fulfilled? No. Fulfilled means He gave an example. He gave that. It does not. I just put a pleru. I think it's pleru in the Greek. Go look it up. It doesn't mean done away with or completed. It means as an example. What else does it need to fulfill? Then what else led to pass from the law? Unless righteousness, He's righteousness, scribes and Pharisees. Of course, my righteousness. And there's no point if we can do it on our own. Of course, we can't do it on our own. My righteousness is solidified by His work on the jagged wood. Pure and simple. I don't have to worry about that. He's taking care of that. Now that I know I'm saved, now that I know that is solidified and I am good to go, now my heart cries out to do what the Father wants me to do. And, it says, James, faith without works is dead. Well, who determines what the works are? Faith without works is dead. If you say, I'm of Jesus, I'm of Yeshua, but you never keep Shabbat or you never keep the feast days, and when someone tells you that you should be, you're like, I don't need that. That's the Old Testament. I don't need that garbage. I mean, you're rejecting what the Father told you He will know you by. And so who determines what works are? He determines what works are by His own. I mean, he wrote what the works are. Do these works. These are the things you should be doing. So faith without works is dead. You're going to say, yeah, I have Jesus. I have Yeshua. But you're going to go out and live your life the way you want, doing right, what is right in your own mind? It doesn't work that way. All right. I've addressed some of these things. My video's getting long. I think I'm up to 20 minutes. So I'm done. I hope this has helped out. I hope that answered some of your questions. I hope maybe some other people, if you have questions, go ahead and post your questions, and maybe I'll do another video of it. So we'll just keep going from there. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks. Go home. Read your Bible.